Hey guys, Tony from Dad Built Down Under. Hey, this weekend I was meant to start the exhaust on the Corvette, or resume the exhaust on the Corvette, but investigating the driveline on the Suburban during the week has highlighted the fact that the diff is clunking. It's got some excessive end play in, I believe, the pinion bearings, and also more than likely the spider bearings are worn as well. It clunks when you when it's in drive and you go to take off, and just the first couple of seconds when you accelerate and it's taken up the torque, there's a bit of a clunk there. It does clunk when you change reverse to drive. There's movement there. And during the week while I had it jacked up just to check it out, I noticed that when I held the drive shaft in place and spun the wheels back and forth, there was an excessive amount of play between clunks. So that tells me that the diff is wearing out, and I believe this diff that's in here is the original one from 1987. I don't believe any of the previous owners have done anything with it, and I'm expecting that to be the case, and that'll be proven once we pull it apart and we have a look at the carrier bearings and the shims that are in behind that. If they're the big thick ones, more than likely this one is the original diff from 1987. So don't know how many Ks it's done, whether it's been around the clock a couple of times. I'm not too worried about that. The longevity of it has been 38 years, and really you can't bitch about that. 38 years, if it's the original diff, is pretty impressive. I mean, you know, it's pretty much outdone two transmissions. I know that this transmission's been rebuilt, and I know that the engine's not the original one that was in this truck. So the diff has outdone potentially two engines and at least two transmissions. If that's the original transmission out of it, it's been rebuilt because it's got stickers and crap all over it. So technically two engines, two transmissions, and one diff, and 38 years. So hey, you can't complain about these things, eh? You won't get that out of a new car, and you especially won't get that out of an EV. So that's all I'm saying there. So hey, listen, what we're going to do here is we're going to jack up the front a little bit and put some 2-ton stands under there. It's only so I can get my fat guts underneath the front to get the slip yoke out and everything, and to get to the cross member there for the carrier. We're going to put two big stands underneath the diff housing. Take the wheels off, take the brake hubs off. We're going to probably spray some of the bolts just to make sure that nothing's rusted up there. I can't remember if it is or not. I'm going to drain the diff oil out. I'm looking forward to that. No, I am not. And then we're going to get back underneath there and have a bit of a look. So what I'll do is I'll get it all jacked up, get it all prepped, get the stands under it, and I'll get you back in there once I've pulled it all down a little bit and hopefully got the back pan off and drained the fluid. Once I can see what's going on there, we'll be able to plan our battle, so to speak. Anyway, bear with me while we run through that, and I'll see you on the next take. Alright guys, we've got it jacked up here. You can see the jack stands under the diff, and it's only gone up to the first click. That's all it needs to be. It's just off the ground enough. The front though, I've got it on those 2-ton stands, and I don't trust it, so the jack's underneath one side at least. At least I won't get totally crushed to death if it drops. Okay, let's get back to this. Now, so I've got hold of the drive shaft here. So it's quite loose in that pinion. And I reckon the gearing's all buggered in the thing, so, and I can spin this wheel. So let's hold
let's hold the drive shaft. So there's a little bit of play there. So I'm gathering it's just worn. It's just, hey, you know, after 38 years of service, can't complain about that. I reckon it's the original. I still reckon it's the original. We're about to find out. So I need to obviously pull the saddles off that end yoke. I need to come up here and take the bolts off the cross member, slide the carrier bearing, which you probably can't see there, slide the carrier bearing backwards, pull the yoke out, the slip yoke out of the transmission there. That's just to get it off the diff, and then what we're going to do is we're going to slide that back into the diff at the slip yoke end, rest all the carrier bearing up there, and then we're going to turn around and tape up the universal joint caps, and that'll get that off there. So the next thing we've got to work out is fixing this diff in place to be able to crack that center pinion nut, and I'm not looking forward to that. But I know that there's some tools out there, but I don't really want to grab the tool when I can just make something up, if you know what I mean. Make something up with the MIG welder. Anyway guys, I'll see you on the next take. We'll get the wheels off and we'll start having a look at what we've got here. Okay peeps, here we are. So I've gone through and I've had a bit of a look. Sorry about the groaning, it's very hard to do this. Okay, now, so I've got the dial gauge set up here. I managed to get it all up and out of the way, drain the oil out, and looks like it's got new oil in it. Looks like before I got it, the diff was probably serviced just with new oil in it. So I've got the dial gauge here and it's showing, so I can see the end of the end yoke over there. Where is it? Let's see the end yoke. Maybe not. Right, hang on. Right, there's the end yoke, right? I'm watching that in the background here. As I'm doing this, what I've got is, let me look at the dial gauge. And if I move the teeth, so I have probably 11 thousandths, maybe 12 thousandths of play in that. So, and there's a distinct clunk in the sorry guys for the movement around here. There's a distinct clunk. I mean, if I move that now, if I move the pinion, and it's locking, like it's not locking, it's quite loose in there, and that's what I'm feeling when I take off. So this diff is getting rebuilt. I don't know whether it's been apart before. It's got 3 punch marks up here, and it's got one over here underneath the magnetic base there. Doing a bit of research though, that could be just factory. it's apparently from what the research online is saying is that's quite common for the factory to reference the caps with the correct carrier side. So I thought it might have been rebuilt once before. As soon as I saw the punch marks, I thought, oh, maybe someone's been in here, but apparently not. Well, not necessarily. We'll know more once we get the caps off tomorrow and we see what shim's in behind here. If it's got a big ass wide one on it, it's definitely the factory one, and someone could have put that one back in, but they say that you're not supposed to do that. But going by the clunking and the movement here on the dial gauge, it's clearly over, it's about 12 thousandths of an inch, which is excessive. It should be around the 8, so yeah, it's definitely got wear in it. I'm looking at the teeth and everything, and there's a lot of wood graining there. I haven't seen any chips or any galling on it yet, but looking at it, I'm quite confident that this setup is worn out, and I did confirm it's stamped on the crown wheel that it was a 41-11, so that's a 373 gear set. So that's looking more like factory anyway. So I'm gonna pull the pin on the video today, and we'll kick it off again tomorrow, and we'll pull this apart. We'll pull the axles out. I haven't pulled the brake drums off yet, because I thought I might make up a bit of a jig to hold the axle in place, and while we rip that end yoke nut off, and then we can go from there. So anyway guys, we'll pick it up again tomorrow. So that's where we're at.
Righto, morning guys. Well, I started it Friday afternoon, going, Saturday morning. So the goal today is to pull the axles out, pull the diff center out, try and get out all the races and bearings and stuff so I can measure them up, make sure that what we're buying is what we need. It's a long way to travel when you're sourcing from the US. So normally you can get sort of parts here in Australia, but I've found it just cheaper just to get it from Summit, Rock Auto, that kind of thing. So and I'm a tight ass, so I won't pay any more than I have to. So so that's what we're doing today. Hey, I wanted to just add that yesterday I mentioned about taking the entire drive shaft out, and I had a blonde moment, and pretty much realised there's a slip in behind, because it's a 2-piece shaft on the Suburban. There's a slip yoke set up behind the carrier bearing, and it's just a matter of undoing the 4 bolts on the end yoke and sliding the drive shaft back, and that's enough to get it out. So my challenge today is to get that nut off that end yoke, as well as part of all that, so that I can get the pinion out. I'm hoping that it's gonna just fall out because of the play that I seem to have in the pinion. I'm hoping that it's loose and it's because it's buggered, So anyway, let's get cracking today. I'm gonna just start pulling everything apart, and I'll bring you in every now and again just to have a bit of a look at the progress. Pretty much decided that we're probably going to put a Posi in this. Sort of the research is telling me that long term it will be better for this rig. Now, even though it didn't come with a Posi, it came with the G80 setup on it. Apparently they're pretty problematic, so while it's not in the budget, sourcing it from the US is probably cheaper than getting it here, and I've had a look around here and it's $1,200 Australian. I can land the Posi, just a Yukon power grip, for about 600, 700 bucks. They're 358 US dollars. So if you include that in the ring and pinion as well, and all the other bits and pieces that are coming with it, and just package it up as a quick kit, it's about 900 US. So it's probably, yeah, it's cheaper to get it all there and get it shipped out. And because it's all in stock, they should ship straight away, which means that in a week's time or a week and a half's time, we'll be putting this back together. And by then I'll have a couple of specialty tools that I need to get that right. The only thing I'm worried about is the pinion settings. I've got pullers and everything to take all the bearings off and use that shim that's under the OEM setup as a guide. But I know that the new pinion will more than likely require a certain measurement, so it's just working out how that works. I might have to gut the carrier on the G80 and hijack the pin or something and work something out there. So yeah, bear with me, and I'll keep bringing you in today as we're pulling it out. So the goal is to get this out today, so that we've got so that we can measure it all up and get the parts on the road. And then so hopefully tomorrow, Sunday, I'm not doing too much at all, so have a bit of a catch up around the house and, you know, clean the pool and that kind of shit, you know. So anyway, we'll see you on the next take. Righto guys, got both axles out, no trouble at all. The C-clip came out on this side really easy, on the left hand side. The right hand side fought me for a little bit, but I eventually got it out. It just wouldn't come out, it was stuck a little bit stuck in there. So axles are out, they're in good shape, they're 28 spline. So they'll go back in, no problem at all. This is not a burnout truck, it's just a driver. So tried getting the seal with this seal tool, but I think I'm going to wait, because it might be better to get the sleeved one that goes in here and expands out, and with a slide hammer on it. And I've got that coming, so they can just wait there, they can just hang there. Righto. So grunting and groaning, because I am an old man, let's face it. Caps came off with no problem at all. Now, if you can see in there, there's the original shim. So it's a big thick one from factory. So normally they don't put those big thick ones back in if they rebuild them. They discard them. They're not something that's supposed to be reused. So and going on research on this diff, the 373, it's a G80, it's an explosion diff apparently. They don't handle too much dicking around. I'm assuming that this has never been out. There's reference marks here, 3 there, and there's one on this side, one right there, see the punch mark. And what as I said yesterday, what I'm led to believe is that that's actually from factory when the guys are assembling them there. So they reference the carrier to the cap, so the cap's got the same amount of punch marks on it, so don't stuff it up, I suppose. So that's from factory. So I didn't even have to mark these; they were already done. And I've got 2 buckets here, one left, one right. So anyway, that's ready to come out. I need 2 hands, and it's going to be slippery as. And then I'm going to try and work out what I'm going to do with this pinion, how I'm going to get it out, because I know it's going to be a bit of a booger to get out. Well, the nut is anyway. So let's just
keep playing, I suppose, and I'll get you on the next take. Righto, guys, we've got a little bit of an update. I've been through and pulled as much as I can apart, except for the pinion. The pinion nut I can't get off. I don't have a socket big enough to fit it, and I need to source that during the week. So, going on the sizes of everything that's coming out though, I don't need to really get it out just yet anyway, because it's a pretty much good guesstimate that I know which one it is, which means I know which bearing it is, which means that I can confirm the sizes. So I just wanted to confirm all the sizes first before we go doing any upgrades, and then we know what's in here and what needs to be ordered. Okay, so axles are out. 28 spline. I might have put this on before. I've marked left and right. Obviously one's had a stud replacement. So I pulled the axle out and managed to get the seal out of the way with the tool, the special tool that I bought. And you can see it's a roller bearing. It's not a conical bearing. These are available. I think Yukon's got a set, which means they're going to be expensive. And it is bearing and seal together for, I think they're about $38 US or something. So one for each side, and that'll sort this out. It wasn't leaking before anyway. It's only leaking now, obviously, because the seal's moved out of the way. As I said before, I can't get to that pinion and the end yoke, so I can't get that assembly out yet. I've got obviously the diff out. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's all out in there. The original shims on the carrier fought me all the way. They're obviously tight. So the factory ones are the big thick ones. Actually, I'll show you those. Got them in a little bucket over here. So I'll show you. So they're the thick ones. They're sorry. So you can't use them. They're not serviceable. They're not usable again. And as I said, these caps are stamped. You can see the stamping there. So I've got one bucket marked right, one bucket left. But it doesn't matter because the housings are stamped and those shims aren't going back on it. So axles out on this side. Haven't taken the seal out, haven't taken the bearing out. There's no point until we obviously source some parts. I'm going down now to have a look at that, to jump on the computer and start ordering up some bits and pieces. These races are Timken LM501314s, and when I do a search on the internet, it's telling me that GM sourced Timken to do the bearings on the carrier. So there's nothing on here. It's obviously on the other side. So if I was to pull that off there, I could see what part number it is. But the internets are telling me the part number for this and the part number for this. Based on what I have here, there is only one combination for that. The teeth itself on the gear, you can see that it's polished up. It's a little bit grainy. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to get a new ring gear set. May as well with new Posi and everything. This thing has all the evidence of being in there for 38 years. Just by everything that I'm pulling out. That was the biggest thing, is I wanted to pull everything out, have a bit of a look, measure everything up, and then cross-reference it to see or to validate that it is the original diff, and I'm confident that it is. So just by what's coming out of there, even this seal is a 16044, and the bearing that's in the axle over here in the housing is a Clark bearing. You can't see it, but it's actually stamped in there, Clark. So what I've researched is that Clark provided these bearings and for GM. So I'm guessing that this has been in there since it left the factory. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pause the video there. It'll be another week or so before we get the parts in from the US. There's a bit of a delay obviously with shipping across the pond. I've checked all the parts and they're all in stock, so it should ship straight away. It'll still take 6 or 7 days to get here, and I'm okay with that. As long as it's here in the next couple of weeks, I can get it slammed back together. Well, not slammed back together, but you know what I mean. Like, I get it back together, and then it'll be ready for our Christmas trip. Now, I'm having trouble getting the gear marking compound. There's a couple of little sachets of it, but I'd really like something like a tube of it. There's a GM part number for AC Delco for it, but it doesn't look like Summit lists it. And also the what's on it? Oh, and some shims. So I'm not going to buy a master install kit, and the reason being is that I'm upgrading to a Yukon Posi, and the bearings for that carrier are the same as the inner pinion bearing. So instead of buying one of those bearings or buying a master install kit which has the inner and outer pinion bearing and the 2 carrier bearings, I have to buy that carrier, and it's for that carrier, the bearing and the bloody race, but it's the same as that larger bearing, so I have to buy 3. So there's no point buying a master kit that has those bearings in there or has carrier bearings in it, because they won't get used. So I've had to try and piece together you know, some sort of resemblance of a master install kit, and I've had to also obviously opt in for some ARP bolts, which are opposite thread, and I'm happy that they're going in there anyway, because I've got ARP stuff on the Corvette, and while it's expensive, there's a reason that it's expensive, and I just know that that won't be the downfall of that diff ever. It'll be the internal parts of the diff, but the bolts will be fine, right? So that's where we're going to leave it for today. So we started on Friday pulling it apart. I just dropped the oil out, had a bit of a look, inspected, had a bit of swearing because I knew that we were in for a good time. No we weren't. And then today I wanted to pull the axles out, pull a seal out, have a bit of a look, see if there's any part numbers on it, check the so that's axle seal, check the bearing, see what sort of bearing was in there. There's a bit of conflicted information coming back, and I finally figured out that which one it was. Wanted to actually get the diff center out and have a look at the crown wheel. Could see the crown wheel, and I measured it as you saw previously in this video. I ended up changing the dial gauge from where I had it in that shot to on the opposite side, so I picked up the other side of the tooth, but the play, the end play, the end play was the same. It was still about 12 thousandths of an inch, so it's flogged. It's done, right? The diff is finished. So yeah. So anyway, let us get back to ordering some parts up, and when they come in, we'll have a bit of an unboxing session, have a bit of a look and a bit of a plan. I've got to set the backlash for the pinion, and I've got to work out how that's done. This is my first big diff rebuild. I haven't done this. Normally I just give it out to a diff shop and go fix it and then bring it back and put it in the car, right? I don't have to worry about it. But the issue is that even though it's technically only a 7-hour job or something to do start to finish, once you have all the parts obviously,
as soon as I take this Suburban into a diff shop here in Australia, they'll turn around and go, oh yeah mate, it's going to take like 14 hours to rebuild that, and I'm going to end up paying, you know, $1,200 for the labour alone. So after buying a couple $100 worth of tools, I still reckon I'm about $1,000 in front, you know, 900 to 1,000 in front, just by trying to do it myself. So, but I'm a bit anal anyway, like I'll double check measurements and that kind of thing anyway. That's just me. I just got, you know, I just got a bit of an analytical mind, so to speak, and I like to know and get things working by the numbers first. So I'll run through the process 6 or 7 times just to make sure it's right. But apparently that's what's needed to be done with this job, is that you got to check it 25 times and then you'll get it to where it is it's supposed to be, and then that's it, it's done, and you know that it's done because you've checked it multiple times. So yeah, so anyway, let's get back there. We'll pick it up. Next take will be in a week or so's time once the parts arrive, and we'll start going through the rest of it then. Righto guys, we'll see you in a, well, it'll just be carrying on for you guys because it'll just be part of this video, but it's going to be about a week and a half, so we'll see you then.
So why don't you send me a set list?
Righto, so for you guys it's just been the next clip in the video, but for me it's been for 2 weeks, so you can tell because I've started to have regrowth and everything. So I've been waiting for parts to come and a couple of Chinese tools off eBay to come. One I've just got dicked around with, which is the beam torque wrench. Luckily I've got a local engineer 4 doors down from me that does turn of the century cars. He does the old, you know, Model Ts and the early Chevs, like from way back when, I mean 100 years ago, let's just face it, you know. So, and what he does is he's got all the tools in there in his shed because he's got to build all the parts for those cars because they're obviously no longer available. So he's only 4 doors down from me, and he had he got me out of trouble by giving me a beam wrench to do the run out on that pinion bearing. Mine will be here Tuesday. It's Friday night at the moment, so but I'm probably missed that. I need to have it all back together by probably close of business Monday. The wife needs her little car back and the Suburban's got to be running. So hey, listen, I've got all the bits and pieces here, and I might run through that tomorrow morning because at the moment I've just had a win. I've got all the pinion out, all the bearings out, they're all done. I've just got to knock out the races, the inner and outer races for the pinion, and the whole diff center is completely disassembled. And there's heaps of videos out there on the web, on YouTube and everything, of guys doing all that, so I don't need to go into that. You pretty much know how I did it. It was just pretty much the same. But what I wanted to show you was this wheel bearing. So the wheel bearing, axle bearing, was giving me trouble basically, and I couldn't get it out, and I had a bit of a play with it, and what I've managed to do, I don't know if you can see that in the dark, so you can see that it's out, but the way I had to get it out was, see how I've ground a recess in there and one on the other side over there, and pretty much taken it right down to its thin, and now it's not that side, I think it's this side. One side's cracked. Oh no, it's that side there. You can't see it, you might be able to see it. So right there's a crack. And what I did is I tried the little Chinese slide hammer and the collet, which expands. It's okay, these little things, but they break right in there in that recess. So if this thing breaks, I've already broken one, but if I break another one there, I'm going to get the MIG out and I'm going to MIG that up, because it's not coming undone on me again. So I managed to get the last bearing out. So what I did is I took the cage and all the roller bearings out first, and that just left that center race, this one here, that just left that.
So then what I did is I just kept on grinding it down with the carbide bit 1. But you've got to go gentle on that because you don't want to go down into this recess here. You don't want to grind into that. That needs to be Mickey Mouse, right? No lips, no burrs, no nothing. So, excuse me, that's the cores coming out. Ugh. Wish they'd sponsor me. So I just went down, kept on going down till there was minimal material there, and then eventually it gave out. So I've got one out, and I've got a lot of metal filings just on the first part of there, but I've got to clean all this out with brake fluid yet, so I'm not really worried about that. The other side's the same. I'll take you around there because there's a bit better light over there too. So you can see that the race is still sitting in there. It's still sitting here. So I'll do the same thing. I'll grind here and here and here and here, and then I'll use that Chinese slide hammer and collet, and that'll just come out. And then the two races that are left inside the diff are only the pinion ones, and they just tap out. They just, you know, nice and easy, and they'll come out tomorrow. So tomorrow morning it'll be get those out, clean, and then we're over on the bench. Let's go over on the bench and we'll have a bit of a look at what we're doing over there. I've earned that, I'm telling you. Right, so I don't think that's big enough, this one. But I have a shock press, so what I'm going to do is support it under here. Actually, I'll probably support it here and here, and then push down that way. Hopefully don't bugger the bearing up. I want to use the bearing as a mock-up bearing, so I'm hoping that it comes undone. If this doesn't work, I'm going to take this off. I've got 2 pieces of steel that will slide in, and I've just got to get to the shim that's underneath this bearing, and I'm trying to get this bearing off without destroying it because I want to use it as a mock-up bearing for the new gear. So this is the inner bearing. It's got no name on it, but I reckon it's Timken. The other side will be Timken. You won't tell until it got off there, but I reckon that was a problem. Well, that goes obviously that way, and that's the seal. So none of this was leaking, none of the seals or anything were leaking. I just had backlash on here, so I reckon that these 2 bearings, that one and this one, are worn, and I reckon they've been in there for 38 years, and I reckon that was the source of my backlash. So I'll clean that up tomorrow. So the G80's going. Govlock. It is out of there, mate, I'm telling you. There's a box of goodies over here. So I've got a motive gear set, all the Timken bearings, ready to go. ARP bolts, nothing but the best. New bearings to go in. They're the Yukon ones. And the Yukon limited slip. I'll do an unboxing tomorrow of that. You sort of get the hint. So yeah, so that was the only way to get that little bugger out. And when you think about it, that was a Clark bearing that I just pulled out of there. So what I was led to believe is Clark bearings were the original manufacturer for bearings for these square bodies, the Suburbans. So going on that, if it's the original bearing, it's been in there for 38 years. So it wasn't just going to let go, and it wasn't just going to come out with a slide hammer. It was stuck in there, and it was giving me a hard time. I come up here at 2 o'clock and started dicking around with that, and then walked down to the engineer's place to grab the beam torque wrench, and so I really got going about 3 o'clock, and it's now It is now, oh shit, I don't know. Let me have a look at the time. It must be about 7 o'clock or something. Must have been out of a few hours. Where's the dog and bone? What's it saying? Oh fuck, it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, so 3 o'clock, so 5 hours dicking around with that one side to try and get it out. I broke one collet. One collet I've got in here, it's all busted. Broke the thing out of it. Went too hard on it and they just gave out. But these are only Chinese tills, man. They're, you know, if you get through one job with them, you're probably doing all right. But for, you know, you and me that do it in the shed by ourselves, they're not too bad, you know. Like, just don't expect them to do big stuff and they'll still get it done, you know. Brush washer. I tell you, that was nice to get off. No, it wasn't. No, it was not. I wasn't going to use an air ratchet, but I did, because it wasn't going to come off any other way. I tried and I gave myself a hernia, and I thought, nah, bugger, I'm not going to do that. So got the air gun out, done, straight off. Nut came off, and it looks like it's got about a full thread full of purple Loctite in there. So anyway, yeah, so had a win. I'm gonna have a win tomorrow. I'll get the other side out, get the 2 races out, clean the housing out with brake cleaner. I've got 6 cans of brake cleaner. I'm just gonna flood it, and then wipe it all out and get it all nice. And then we're gonna dick around with this pinion and the bearing and the shim and set all that up first, and then we're gonna work on, we'll work on that, make sure that's right, get it right down to where it needs to be, and then we'll work on the carrier. But before I go doing all that, I'll do a bit of an unboxing and show you what I've got and show you what's going in it. So it had the G80 in it from factory, but it's getting the Posi, so I just think it'll be better. Not that we have snow here in Australia. I mean, if you go south to like Melbourne and areas like that, they do get snow. Tassie gets snow, Tasmania gets snow, but here on the Gold Coast, we're lucky to even see a little bit of white frost on the rooftops in winter. You know, it does get that cold. It's been down to like -2, -3 degrees Celsius, but there's no snow. It's just cold. It's just, you just freeze your tits off. But at the moment it's hot and aircon's flying on down to the house, and the old 3-phase of 415 volts is cranking down to the house at the moment. The wife's down there, she's got the aircon on, and I'm up here in the shed, no aircon. Probably need aircon up the shed. No, because I'd never leave here. I need to go down the house. But yeah, anyway, that was 2 weeks of waiting, and we're going to finish this video off. We're going to finish this car off this weekend. This has got to be done this weekend. I've got 2 days, and a whole heap of interruptions that's going to come my way over those 2 days. But by Monday afternoon, because I work from home Monday, by Monday afternoon this car needs to be ready, because I need it for daily driver duties. So I'm hoping that I'm going to have a win over the weekend. It's just getting everything out, you know, like everything that's been stuck in there for 38 years doesn't want to just give, and doesn't want to come out. But I'm sure that everything else is going to go in a little bit easier once it's all clean and it's ready to go. So anyway, let's kick it back off in the morning. We'll do an unboxing on the parts, and you can see all the, you know, goodies, and then we'll run from there. Anyway guys, we'll see you in the morning. Hooroo. Righto, good morning. Just after 6 o'clock Saturday morning, and as promised, I'll just run you over what I got for this this rig, and then I'm going to get into it. I need to get the other race out for the axle bearing on the other side, the same way as I showed you last night. I need to grind that down with the carbide bit and get that cranked out. So I've unboxed everything here, and I can just show you what I've got here. It might be the same for your build. Let's just go and have a look. So you can see all the boxes there. Yukon. So I've got a Yukon Posi and the Motive Gear ring set. And it just come down to price basically. I mean, that crap here is quite expensive in Australia. So I got it shipped from Summit. And they knocked it out of the park, man. Them and FedEx. FedEx, it left America the weekend that I did the last couple of takes. It left, and it was sitting at the shipment depot in Red Bank, which is near Brisbane, on the Friday, but they didn't get to deliver it until the Monday. So they nearly had it so that I could do this last weekend, but I've missed a weekend. So unfortunately, it's not a 1 week; it's a 2 week thing. But you can't do anything when you don't have the parts, and there's no point doing too much until you get started. But yeah, FedEx, man, they've got that shipment across from America to Australia pretty well down pat. So, and the money's not too bad for shipping stuff like that. So, all up, I still reckon I'm saving $1,000 by doing this myself, even though it's been a bit of a head bugger. But yeah, let's go through what we've got here, and I can explain what's going on. Righto, so this is the Posi. Big upgrade for the G80 over here. So I've just got to put the bearings on. So Yukon said that the 2 bearings that for the carrier are the same as one of the inputs. So you've virtually got to buy 3 bearings, 2 for the carrier and 1 for the pinion, and then this other one is for the pinion. The big one's for the pinion. So there'll be 2 races in this one, and 2 pinion and 2 bearings, and that'll be for the carrier. And just to prove that, I'll just show you. So this is the bearing. So they're not the same size bearing as factory. Yukon run, as I said, the same bearing as the larger bearing, I believe, on the pinion. So they're exactly the same. So, and it's because they've got a different center here. So these squeeze down onto there, obviously. Heaps of videos on YouTube, man, on you know, blokes setting all this gear up. So I'm not going to go into that. There's heaps of information out there, and I found it pretty easily, and forums and everything. So, but yeah, this is just to document what we've done. The ring gear is the same. It's so this ring gear, it's 373 gears. So this is the same. It's a 41 tooth ring and an 11 tooth pinion. And you divide 11 into 41 and you get 373. So that's the way that works anyway. That calculation's pretty well known as well. So that's the carrier bearings and races. We've got some shims here for the carrier. Hopefully there's a couple of super shims in there and bits and pieces, so hopefully that's going to be enough to set this. We've got some shims for the pinion, even though that I've got to get this off, and I don't think this is going to work. I think it's going to fail. I'm trying to get this bearing off without buggering it up, because I want to ground the inside of it out and use it as a setup bearing. I ended up getting new washer and nut for the pinion, and I got 2 crush washers just in case. I did grab another carrier bolt, but I won't need that because it's already here. Bang. Now these are the bearings, the Yukon bearings for the axle bearings. So, and the seals. So I've taken the seals out. These are the original seals out of it, and I do believe that they're factory. So they've never been done. These aren't cheap. These are $44 US. By the time they get here, they're about $80 a throw. So they're quite expensive. that's just the other side. So this is what I'm having trouble with on the other side at the moment, is it wouldn't actually pull out of the recess. So I had to take the cage out and all the rollers out, and then I was just left with the race. And then from there I can, I've been able to cut relief in both sides of that and get it down to the flat part without buggering up the housing. So that's what I'm about to do now. So I'll do that one, and then I'll knock the 2 races out for the pinion, and then it's clean up time. I've got to try and organise that, and got to try and organise a suitable torque wrench to set the preload. I thought I had one yesterday, borrowed one off an old mate down the road. He said that he used it for setting bearings, preload on bearings all the time, but it's a click style one that's not going to work. So I've got to try and organise a non-clicking style inch-pound torque wrench, and in Australia that's pretty rare. Only the old blokes will have those in their toolboxes. And as I said, I've got one on the way, but it doesn't arrive until next week, and I need this truck on the road because it needs to do daily driving duties. So I've got to try and organise one today. So I reached out to a couple of forums on Facebook, and a bloke down the road not far from us has one, as well as the guy down the road here. So and I've reached out to him today because I'm stuck. I don't have a car today, the wife's got the car, so I'm sort of hoping that I can organise to pick it up maybe this afternoon, because the reality is I'm not going to be ready to use it this morning. It'll be more like tomorrow. So if I can organise to pick it up, I'll pick it up, and then set the preload. Just spend the day today setting everything up, and so it's just I'm dicking around with the pinion tomorrow, so being Sunday. So yeah, anyway, let's get cracking. I'll bring you in every now and again just to see where we're up to with the progress of it. It's pretty much the same as every other video that's out there on YouTube or on the web. I'm not going to take anything away from those guys. They've done fantastic jobs with their videos, and there's a whole heap of stuff in there that I wouldn't do. Like for instance, I wouldn't pull this crown wheel down onto this with the bolts. So I'm looking at heating this up and letting it just fall into place. It depends on how hard it is to get it on there, you know what I mean? You don't want to be pulling it down, even though these are ARP bolts, and these will probably outlast the diff. It's probably not one thing that I want it to be doing. So anyway, we'll go on that. So yeah, anyway, we'll bring you in and we'll see how we're going. We'll see you on the next take. Righto peeps, I thought I'd show you the method I've been using to get these out. So I can't obviously use all the tools to get this out, but you can see that I've recessed that to within an inch of its life. I haven't gone down into the diff housing at all, because that surface needs to be unmarked. I've just basically gone through the race and taken the walls off it, and then also created a weak spot. So when I pound it with this slide hammer and collet, I'm not overworking the collet, because these are only Chinese and they seem to break in there where the finger is. And if you overload it, they just snap out. So to save the tool for the next job and to get it to work, I've just got to recess this and weaken that structure to get it out. So I'm guessing that it will be the same. I've stuck a rag in there. I didn't do a rag on the other side, so there's metal filings in there I've got to clean out, and they all need to come out of there before we go putting anything back together, because I'll end up metal shavings in there is not good. So I put a rag in there on this side, stop that from doing that. So when I pull that out, it should get the bulk of it out, and I'll just keep wiping it out until it's clean. Well, I just wanted to show you that. We'll get back onto it and I'll pop it out, and then I'll get to the races the pinion races inside the diff. That's the only thing I've got left, and then it's ready to go. So
Righto, my fellas. Hey, listen, Saturday I took the bearings out, and you sure saw how I did that with the die grinder and the carbide bit. I've put the new bearings in. They come up really good. See that? I've cleaned the diff housing, given it a bit of a paint up. As Derek Berry says on Vice Grip Garage, I've rebuilt it with black. And I didn't use his black because we can't get paint shipped across the pond, but I used black, so I did a Derek, and it's all rebuilt. All the centers out, knocked the cones, the races out, that's all done. I've had a bit of a problem with the shims. I've incorrectly ordered 12 bolt shims and not 10 bolt shims. And I can't even remember getting that wrong. I thought I had it right. Anyway, I've got those listed on Marketplace. Hopefully someone will need those and take them off my hands. The reason being is that this is the factory shim out of the carrier. That's 2.855 and being a 10 bolt. And obviously I have ordered the wrong ones with the 12 bolt ones. So also the bearings for the pinion were incorrect, so I ordered those off Summit, and for some reason they did not, they were the wrong ones. They were I don't even know what they're for, to be honest with you, but when I searched for 87 Suburban on Summit, it came up with a listing of all the part numbers, and it said, right, yep, this will fit, and for some reason it doesn't. So I don't know what happened. Normally they're pretty good, and I'm not bagging them or anything because I buy a lot of crap off them, you know. So but I'm a little bit annoyed because I'm in a bit of a bind now. I need new bearings. I've got to source them in Australia, so that's more expensive. The guys here have got them, but I'm paying a premium price. The pinion seal, also I have to buy. I've got the wrong one for some reason. I don't know. We've just had a shocker with the parts. Anyway, so I've got those ordered. Tomorrow, being Monday, I'll check that out. So Sunday, I've just spent the day cleaning and prepping for everything. I've got the bearings on the carrier.
And we all do it. This is the first time the parts have been totally not right. And normally I would pull shit apart and check it, and I did that, but I didn't pull the pinion out. And I thought, okay, well, it's got to have this bearing in it. This is what it's saying. This is the bearing, right? Well, it wasn't until I got the bearings and the races, and then pulled the pinion out, I went, this is nowhere near it. So, you know, you're just going on the advice that's on the parts listings that are on the suppliers that you're using. So some are usually pretty good, and I'm not saying that they're at fault this time. More than likely it was me, but I'm still pissed off because it takes a week to get shit here. So anyway, it looks like we're going to be multiple parts to this vid. Monday I'll be checking with the local suppliers for those bearings and races. Also the bolt kit for the crown wheel. The one that I got was for a Ford. So, and it's nowhere even close. And I don't even know how the hell that happened. It's like it came up, you search for Suburban, small block Chevy 10 bolt on Summit, and that part come up, and I went, oh, that's it. That must be it. No, it wasn't it. It's not even close. So that's for sale because it's uneconomical to send all this shit back too, by the way. So you just sell it here for, you know, a discounted price. Some bloke picks up a bargain, and that's all you can do. So I'm waiting on bolts. The bolts are here. I've got that ordered out of South Australia. They'll be here probably Wednesday, I'd say. So everything will sort of line up during the week. The parts that are missing, except for the shims. The shims are an issue at the moment because the parts suppliers that usually stock them are saying that they have them, but then that their delivery date is later December. So they've listed them, but they don't really have them. They're full of shit. That's what it is. They've got to order them in. And if it's going to be the end of December before I see them, I can just order that from Summit or Jegs or one of those mobs over there. It'll be here in 7 days, and I'll just suck it on, you know, cop it on the chin, you know. So anyway, a little bit annoyed because the pinion should have been in, and I should have been onto the diff carrier by now, and we should have been, you know, getting ready to put the cover back on and fill it with oil, but that's just not going to be the case. I'm also waiting on the beam torque wrench. So I borrowed one from a mate down the road, old engineer, and he said, look, I've done heaps of bearing preloads with that particular tool, it will be fine. I'm sitting there going, I'm pretty sure you can't use a click one. He's an engineer, man. I'm not going to argue with him, right? Anyway, go home and I'm sitting there going, I can't set this rotational drag preload with a click style torque wrench. And I knew that, but I wasn't going to argue it with him. Anywho, I've had a bit of a look at it, and the other one will be here Tuesday. So what do? I'm just going to hang out and wait for all that crap to arrive. So yeah, look, sorry to bang on a bit, but I wanted to give you an update because it takes a while to put the video together, and this is all real life stuff, you know, like, you know, it's not like watching, you know, Overhauling or one of the biggest shows in the US where they do a car in an hour. That doesn't happen. The reality is that shit takes time. It takes time to source parts. Sometimes the parts aren't right. Sometimes they're for something else, or sometimes they ship the wrong ones, or sometimes you're ordering while you're having a beer and you've ordered the wrong ones. Maybe that was my case, but anyway, I'm just letting you know that that's the update. So Sunday afternoon, I thought I'd have it done, not done. Okay, so I've got to wait for parts and tools, and hopefully this week we'll get it done. By next weekend, I should see this thing back together because I'll have all the tools, all the bearings, hopefully the shims if I can source them this week. The shims, if the shims don't come by the end of the week, that'll be the only thing that stops me from putting it together next weekend. And then I won't be able to get to work the next week, so it's a bit of an issue because the wife needs her little car for work now because they've taken her her work car back, which they do every now and again. I don't know, weird. Anyway,
She needs her car, so the Suburban needs to be running, so I need to organise that. So anyway, I'll just sort of give you an update. It'll end up being 3 or 4 weeks that this video is filmed over, not just the hour and a half or whatever it is that that it ends up being. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you on the next take, guys, and we'll hopefully we'll have some good news. Anyway, see you then. Righto, so we're back to the diff after a couple of weeks worth of getting stuffed around with parts. A little bit of me ordering the wrong shit, or being told that I need this shit and it's not the right shit, so it just gave me the shits. Anyway, we're back. So what I've done now is I've put wallowed out the inner and outer pinion bearings so that they're a slip fit over the pinion. I've got the new pinion in there, and I've made up this little tool here. I didn't have the couple of $100 spare to go and create, you know, buy some U-Butte bloody tool. So I'll just show you, because at the moment I'm on an angle here. Don't adjust your TV, guys. I am on an angle. I'm laying on the ground. Even though I've got a hoist, the Corvette lives on that, right? It can't come off there yet. Anyway, I'll show you this next one. Hang on. Righto. So you can see what I got here is I'm using the saddle. Oh, let's get in here a little bit further. So you can see the 2 saddle bolts holes there, one there and there's one here, obviously. So what I've done is I've put this piece of RHS across the 2 saddles. Now this saddle point here mathematically is halfway between the bearing, which means that this face here, from here to here or from there to there, is basically saying that we are halfway in the axle. So what I've done is I've put this across here, and it's sitting on the faces nice and stout, and I've put this threaded rod down through the RHS, and it's actually in behind there, sitting on the end of the gear. So there's no play in that. It's just sitting on the bearing. There's no backlash, there's nothing. And what I did is I got a set of vernier calipers and measured down to the pinion head, and then got a couple of measurements. So what I did is I measured that thing 5 times. I got 3 consistent numbers and 2 that were in 100,000ths of an inch or something of each other. So what I did is I've written those 5 down, and I've added them all up and averaged them out, and it's within half. It's pretty close, right, to being the one measurement. So what I'm happy with that, because it was at a straight angle down through here. So what I've done is I've taken the measurement from that, and then on the end of the gear, Motive have 3.567, I think. I'll wait till I get out and I'll show you the chart of what I'm going on about. So what I've done is taken that measurement from here to there, taken the width of this RHS off it, and then that gives me a figure to then take away from the offset that Motive are saying is on the gear head itself, and then I can quickly work out the shim required, and at the moment it's only 10,000ths of an inch. So I can show you how I work that out. But this seems to be consistent. The fact that I got out of 5 measurements and they were clean, reset, down again. 3 out of the 5 were exactly the same. One was over by 1,000ths, and then the other one was 2,000. So it might have been something to do with the angle, or me breathing heavy, or I don't know, something's going on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to undo this, take the pinion out. The bearing that's on there is the setup bearing, as I said, and there's no shim under it. So I'm going to put the 10,000ths of an inch shim in there, and then slot this all back together, and then we're going to give it a bit of a test to see if we are right on what Motive Gear is saying that the depth should be. And if we're there, then I can go ahead and start putting the center carrier in and working out my shims either side here to get this thing in the right spot. Then I can run a bit of a pattern, see how it looks, and if we're in the right spot and I'm happy with it,
we'll pull it all apart, we'll press on the new bearing, and then we'll go from there. We'll check it again. But then we're pretty close, so I reckon we're pretty good. So I wanted to do that this Harvey because I'm working tomorrow for the JOB, and that'll take most of the day, and I wanted to get a head start on this so I know what I was doing. Because I've only got really after lunch, or maybe 2 or 3 o'clock tomorrow, Saturday, up until probably 9 o'clock at night, and then maybe Sunday to get all this diff back together and make sure it's meshing right, and then have it so that it's ready to go, and then start breaking it in hopefully by Sunday afternoon, just going down the cul-de-sac and just, you know, turning left, right, get that kind of thing, and just making sure that it's working properly the way it should. But I wanted to show you the tool that I made up just in place. There's a couple of U-Butte videos on YouTube where the guys have made up a special commercial tool that's sort of similar. I thought to myself, you know what, that's a bloody good idea, and I could sort of do something at home with just some basic tools. Now these are the carrier bolts out of here, so they obviously fit down there. The beautiful set, and this is just a bit of 3/8 rod with a nut washer. There's another nut on this side to keep the pressure down, and what I did is I just migged up the head on this, so I migged it up and then sanded it down to so that it doesn't, you know, bugger up the end of the gear. But there's no playing that, there's no backlash. I found that even though I've got the other bearing in there, it kept falling backwards, and I needed 3 to 4 hands to try and hold it all still while I measured it, and this actually did it really, really well. Anyway, we'll see on the next take. Righto, so I've got the pinion back out. This is the new Motive pinion, and you can see that this bearing slips on and off. I've wallowed the centre of it out so that it's an easy squash on, wash it down. Also lubed it up with a bit of gear oil, so it's not dry. You can't put it in dry, boys, remember that. Right, so that's a slip on and slip off bearing. No shim under there. So what we were trying to work out with our depth tool here is basically the overall distance from the face of the gear, which was here, to this point here, and we came up with the following. So we have, let me just check it, I did 5 measurements: 3.567, 3.569, 3.568, 3.567, 3.567. The average is 3.5675. So let's just go 3.567. 3 of those were exactly the same out of the 5. So this is the data, this is the reference point I'm thinking, right? Now we go 3.569, we've got to take away the RHS thickness. Now I've measured this a couple of times and it's 0.985 inch. And let's see if I can replicate this. Keep in mind this is a Chinese vernier caliper. Look. So one time it says that, one time it says something different. I've measured it a couple of times. See? So let's just go, let's just allow for that in the shim, right? To be about 0.001. So if we go through there and we take, let's just take from the original measurement here, the average measurement, that was 3.567 from this face to the gear face, minus the RHS itself. Then we end up with 2.582 as the distance between the bottom face and the gear head. Then we take this away from this one. Sorry, I forgot the minus sign, and I'm doing this left-handed even though I'm right-handed. So that's how multitasking. So we take, so this is the 2.582, which is from the bottom side of the RHS to the gear head. Now Motive have Motive Gear have stamped or scribed in the head of the gear 2.569 inch as the offset. So I'm going to take that away from this figure, and it means I've got to shim it up 0.013 inch. Let's just go 0.14, allowing for the fact that that bearing is a 38-year-old bearing. So now what we have to do is figure out which one of our shims here is that measurement. Now I've narrowed it down to 2, and this is what I've got. So hopefully you'll be able to see that because I'm holding it up with my gut. Right, let's just zero that out. What's this one say? 1, 2. Righto. Keep zeroing this out. I don't trust it. 1, 2. There is a 1, 4 in here somewhere. I think. Oh, this one I think. 1, 5. Ugh. 1, 5, eh? And this one's thicker. Yeah, 0.2. 0.19. 0.19. 0.15. What would you do, boys? Would you send it at the 1.5? That's too narrow, that's too shallow. 0.2's all getting there. And let's have a look at this one. Yeah, let's go here. Or 0.12. So they're both 0.12, or do we go to 0.15? So 0.12 I reckon, and considering it's a 0.15, I think we're going to go with that one. So my method there is that I'm calculating 0.013 plus 1. This is 0.015, so let's just put that one on there. Let's put our slip-on bearing back in there. And then what we'll do is we'll set it up and see if we've got close to 2.569 inch, which is the motive offset. Now, I need to do this off camera because obviously I don't have 65 hands. So my method there is obviously to allow for a little bit more preload, which may impact this, but I don't have any other shims. These are too shallow. This one's definitely too shallow, and this one's too thick. So, and that was a Motive Gear shim kit too, I think. So yeah, I don't have any. That's the closest one I have. So I think if you're only like 1 or 2 thousandths of an inch, just send it, right? Yeah, I think it'll be right. I'm going to put it in there anyway. Put it in there, and we'll run the same test with this setup tool again, and then we'll go from there. I'll see you on the next take. Righto, guys. So I was thinking about putting in the last shot. We were talking about putting the 0.15 inch shim in there. Thinking about it, and because most of us guys, when we think about something, we go, oh, we need that one, we'll just go one little bit bigger, and it'll be right. Well, when you're talking about the bearing and I'm putting a new bearing on there, that's probably the reverse way of thinking. So I thought to myself, I've got a 0.12 inch shim there, let's run that instead. So off camera, I didn't videotape it, I put the 0.1, what have I got there, 0.12 inch shim in place of the other shim that I put on in the last take. Now, I thought to myself, that's counterproductive to how we normally think as blokes, right? We normally think we just go that little bit bigger and it'll be right. But keeping in mind that that's also setting it up with a 38-year-old bearing. That diff has been together for 38 years. That Timken bearing has been in there for 38 years. So, not that it's buggered, there's no scoring on it, it's not marred in any way, it is just worn out, right? It's just, so there's going to be a little bit of play there. By the time I put a new bearing on, any of the difference, and now keep in mind that the calculation was saying that I needed a shim 0.013 of an inch. So I'm at 0.012 of an inch with the shim that's a little bit lower than that. By the time we go adding in a new bearing, that's going to pull it up to probably spot on, and if not, it'll be 1 or 2 thousandths of an inch. And if it's 1 or 2 thousandths of an inch, or let's just go 1 thousandths of an inch for argument's sake, there's no shim in the kit to pull that up, so I reckon we're pretty good. So let's have a bit of a look at where we ended up on the calculation, right? So remember before, calculated the difference between, this is the total measurement including the RHS minus the RHS equals a depth of 2.582. Now motive gear stamped in the offset 2.569, we've been over this, which means that the shim needed to be roughly 0.013 of an inch. Now I do have a 0.12 inch shim in the kit, and that's the one I ended up running instead of the 15. Now if I go down here, motive gear wanted the offset to be 2.569 inch and the RHS was 0.95 inches. So you add those two together and it comes to 3.554 inch, right? So that's where we needed to be on the magic spot, measuring down. So keep in mind that I measured it with this end here and here. So this is the end that I measured it with around here. I was consistently getting 3.55. And you can see that, so that there represents, obviously, it's sitting on the end of the pinion gear head. And if you 3.55 inch, including the RHS, you're going to take that off there. I reckon we're in the sweet spot. I reckon that shim that's on there at the moment is the shim to use. By the time we put a new bearing on there, I'm not going to get any closer, put it that way. I think we're good. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this mock-up bearing on here for now, and we're going to go to the next stage because we've got the shim underneath there. She's ready to go. So we're going to leave the mock-up bearing on there. We're going to put it in the diff housing, and then tomorrow after I finish work I'm going to come up here and we're going to have a look at this one, and we're going to put this one in the case. So the only trouble is I've got the pinion set, and every time I take because I push it out, I push it towards the nose of the diff, which is the front of the car, that assembly comes back a little bit because there's nothing there to hold it, and then I haven't got all the nut or anything on the outside of it. So as long as that pushes back and I've got the gear right and I can hold it there and keep it, I'll be able to run a pattern, I think. So that's the only thing I've got to do tomorrow. So so tomorrow's carrier. So once I check the carrier, and then we're going to sit down and we're going to work out. So this tool worked fantastically. This is a basic bloody tool, RHS. The only thing I'd do differently is it wouldn't be hollow. It would be a solid piece of material. This is all I had. And keep in mind that the bolts that went through here and these ones here are not over tightened. They're just nipped up so they don't move, and so that you can't get them undone with your hand, right? You just want it just nipped a little bit. You don't want to pull it down and squash the tube because you're going to wreck your measurement. So if I did this again, I would make that piece here out of solid material, drill through obviously, so you probably even get some sort of thread in there, whack a thread in there. But you can see I've just basically tacked up the end of that, sanded it off. That's not going anywhere. So that'll be my tool now that I'll use if I ever do this job again. And not that I'll be doing it on the Suburban, I don't think. I think she'll be right for a while. But the father-in-law's got a 79 C10, which is, you know, same shell, a different set of eyebrows, right? Same thing, eh? Basically the same, right? So tomorrow, but that was my little measurement. I had that under the car and I was trying to measure this, and I was saying, right, I need to be that, need to be that. And when I'm 3.555, I went, ah, fuck, that's close enough. Anyway, getting back to what we're doing with the side shims. So let's just put this over here. These are all carrier shims. This is the factory one. Can't use that, it's all marred up. Right, so these are all the bearings. So these are the main carriers. And let's just call them the carrier shims. And then these are the different sizes. I've marked them out roughly how we're going to do it tomorrow. So when we look at the way that the factory did it, so this is the left hand side one, and they had, this measures at 0.248 inch thickness that way. This measures at 0.236 that way. So the diff center was over that way, over exaggerated, in the housing a little bit. Now, will that be the same for this setup? We don't know yet. That's what we need to work out. So I need a starting point, and with the carrier shims here, these are 2.17. I need to put shims in the left hand side and in the right hand side and get this center where it needs to be. And that's what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to play with that. So this video is going to be quite long, and I do apologise for the length of the video. I could have gone into heaps more detail of what I've sort of been dicking around with here, but there's a lot of videos out there on setting up pinions and setting up the ring gears. And basically I sat down and watched probably all of them, and then picked out the good techniques from all of them, and went, okay, I like that, yep, no, I don't like that, no, I don't like what he's doing there. But I didn't say to them, hey, I think that you're wrong. That was just their opinion. Just because they do it differently to me doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means they're different to me, right? And I'm doing it this way, and you're probably thinking, oh, I wouldn't do it that way. Well, that's fair enough, mate. No problem at all. This is how I did it. You might be able to pick pieces from this video, and go, hey, that's not a bad idea. Oh, Baldy's got it right. So it's just something that you can add into it. So what we're going to do tomorrow, we'll pick it up again tomorrow. Next take is we're going to, as I said, set the carrier up and start shimming it out. And then once we know that we're roughly in the right spot and we run a pattern and it's where it needs to be, we're going to pull it all apart. We're going to press the bearings on, and then it's game on. It's game on. It's happening. It's going in. But we're going to do it. We're going to check it multiple times before we get to that point. Before I press that bearing onto that pinion, I want to know that it's in the right spot. I'm not putting it on there and to press it back off again. That is just a pain in the ass, right? You don't want to be doing that. So if you can get your old bearing off your old carrier and clean it out on the center, you'll have to just, I used a die grinder on an air tool and just slowly went around, boom, 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 and just did it. Pulled it a little bit out. I made it so that it was just hard to get off. So you can see I can basically get 2 fingers under there. I am putting pressure on it to get it off, and pressure on it to push it back down, and it's not loose on the pinion. So it needs to be that. It needs to be virtually no play in there, because basically what you're doing is you're pulling down on the old bearing face here. That pulls against the race that's in there, and you can see there's obviously movement in there. It's a 30-year-old bearing, man. 38-year-old bearing. Tell me this shit's not going to wear out in 38 years, right? Anyway, I'm wafting on. We'll get back to it tomorrow, next take, so see ya. It won't be tomorrow morning, it'll be tomorrow afternoon. I've got the JOB stuff to do first up, and then I can get back into the truck. So I want to try and do all my calculations tomorrow, Saturday, between say 3 o'clock and fucking whatever time I finish. And then Sunday will be basically assembly, lube up, and we'll see how she runs after that. So hopefully I'm going to have a wind. It needs to be together by Sunday afternoon. Oil in it, limited slip additive, and ready to drive out the driveway. So that's the goal, right? Anyway, peace out. See you tomorrow sometimes. Bye. Righto, winning. Got the seal in. Put some oil on the bearing. Pop the seal in. Put a little bit of gasket maker in behind there. Lubed up the shafts on here. Cleaned them up with a bit of emery paper, the Scotch Brite. And now, so the seal's not right, but we're going to get another seal tomorrow. But I've pulled that in and used a crush washer. I had to borrow a 3/4 Milwaukee impact gun from Uncle Craig, and pull it down, it just wouldn't go. So we've done that. Turned around, we've put the gear, the carrier in, tested the backlash. Dial gauge is saying 8,000, so an inch, spot on. Pulled these down, put the shim packs on either side, put the caps back on, torqued them down to 65, run the pattern, and it's right in the middle, spot on. Now we're ready to put the axles in, put the C-clips on, spin it back around, put the rod in, put the gasket on, fill it up with oil. It needs the Posi oil, of course, and then gotta get the seal for that in, take that yoke off, put the seal on, put the yoke back on, and we're done. And this process is finished. So that's come out really good. No, it was shit. It was a shit of a job, but it's done. Don't adjust your TV, I am sitting sideways. Peace out. Well, it's all done. I think so anyway. All the specs come up right. I double checked them 4 million times. Every change I did, new bearing out, sorry, set up bearing in, checked it, squeezed on the fucking the new bearing and the shim, checked it, put it all in there, checked it, and the measurements come back 100% right. So ended up putting the pinion in and torquing that up. Had to borrow the brother-in-law's 3/4 drive air gun, because the crush tube just wouldn't pull down with the little 1/2 inch that we had. Got that all sorted out with a 3/4, and then I took the yoke back off because I need to put the seal in there. I don't have a seal. I need to organise a seal on Monday, so Sunday nothing's open, so I need to organise another seal pronto. So I'll do that, put the seal in, put the end yoke back on, put the nut and the washer back on, pull that back down. But the play on that's all set, come up beautifully. So spec on the new bearing is 15 to 30 inch-pounds, that's what the book says, and I'm at 20, so I'm just going to leave it at that. It looks good. So looking at the gearing and everything, that's fine. Everything slot in there all right. All the axles put in there, put the C-clips on, put it all back together like normal, and it looks like it's ready to roll. I put a litre or so of about 900 mils actually of oil in there, gear oil in it, and the additive, and I'll top it up when I get the front seal and put the front seal on. Once the front seal goes on, I'll be able to top it all the way up and make sure that it's topped off, and then it's time to just test it for a little bit, you know, go for a bit of a drive. So I'll spin you around and just show you where we're at. All the wheels are back on. It's looking like a car again. Everything's buttoned up at the back. All the def housing's all put together and back on there, and obviously it's got oil in it, so it's got the plate on there. Got all that sorted out. So at this stage, fingers crossed, I think we're done. It's a lot of shit that went involved in it though, with the shim kits, all this. I've got to sort all this out later, but the 2 packs I had slid in straight away, so left and right hand packs on the shim kit slid in, and then I checked the run out and the backlash, and the backlash was 0.08 of an inch. I know I jagged it, it was spot on. Then decided to run a pattern, and I ran the pattern with the paint, and it was in the middle of the tooth and centralized in there, so it looked pretty much spot on. I don't think I'm going to get it any better. So pinion depth was fine. Backlash was 0.08 of an inch. I'm not going to argue with that, man. It's supposed to be 1 to 10 or 3 to 10, and it's in the middle. So we're going to leave it at that, right? We're going to send it the way it is. So I tested all that, dropped the axles in, put the C-clips on, pulled them back out. Everything's all sweet. So go and buy all the specs and all the information that's around. I think we're pretty much done. So anyway, it was good to pull all that out. This is going to be a long video, and thanks for sticking by and watching it. Sorry I didn't get a little bit more stuff involved in that today, a bit of footage involved in that today. I sort of got carried away. I wanted to get it done. It sort of bit me in the arse last night and with the seal, and I was wanting to have more of it done today, but I ended up getting everything done today that I needed to without the seal. So the seal's the only thing holding me up, and once the seal goes in, the pinion goes on, I can put the drive shaft back on and then test it. So but I'm pretty happy with the way it is, because based on all the specs, it's telling me exactly the same as all the information out there. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I mean, you can't dial it right into the minute one, you know, half a thing, whatever the measurement is. You can't get that, so it's all good. So yeah, so if you like what you see, like and subscribe, comment, share some information if you got some tips and that. I'm not going to be doing this next time. I'm hoping that it will last a while, but I'm sure that somewhere down the track we'll be doing another ring gear and set up later on. So at least it's done now, and I can use the truck at Christmas time, and we can keep cracking on that. So yeah, hey, peace out, and see you on the next one, guys. Bye.